Good evening. Welcome to Planning and Zoning meeting for Commission for meeting for February 19th, 2026. At this time, I would like to call the meeting to order. The commissioners who are present for this evening's meeting are at City Hall. We also have staff from the city attorney's and the city clerk's office, as well as the city's planning department. If you're joining us on Zoom this evening, we can see that you are here. You may observe the meeting, however, your ability to be seen or on screen and talk will be muted. During the public testimony of the meeting, you will be unmuted and then be able to comment. Please note that we cannot take questions until the public testimony of the meeting. If you have a process question during the meeting, please email cityclerk@meridiancity.org and they will reply as quickly as possible. If you simply want to watch the meeting, we encourage you to watch this streaming on the city's YouTube channel. You can access it at meridiancity.org/live. With that, let us begin with roll call. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Garrett,
Oh, here.
Commissioner Gelsomino,
Present.
Commissioner Sandoval, Commissioner Stoll,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Perot, Commissioner Lorcher.
Here. The first item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Please note that item number 5 is going to request a continuance. And other than that, there are no other changes. Could I get a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
It's been moved and second to adopt tonight's agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which is to approve the meetings of the Planning and Zoning meeting of February 5th. Could I get a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and second to present the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I would briefly like to explain the public hearing process. We will open each item individually and begin with the staff report. Staff will report their findings and how the item adheres to our comprehensive plan and unified development code. After staff has made their presentation, the applicant will come forward and present their case and respond to staff's comments. They will have 15 minutes to do so. After the applicant is finished, we will open the floor to public testimony. Each person will be called only once during public testimony. The clerk will call the names individually of those who have signed up on our website in advance to testify. You may come to the microphones in chambers or will be unmuted on Zoom. Please state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to address the commission. If you previously sent pictures or a presentation for the meeting, it will be displayed on the screen and our clerk will help you run the presentation. If you have established that you are speaking on behalf of a larger group, like an HOA, where others from that group will allow you to speak on their behalf, you will have up to 10 minutes. After all those who have signed up in advance have spoken, we will invite any others who wish to testify. If you wish to speak on a topic, you may come forward in chambers, or if on Zoom, press the raise hand button in the Zoom app, or if you're only listening on the phone, please press *9 and wait for your name to be called. If you're listening on multiple devices such as a computer and a phone, please be sure to mute those extra devices so we don't experience feedback and we can hear you clearly. When you have finished, if the commission does not have more questions for you, you will return to your seat in chambers or be muted on Zoom and no longer have the ability to speak. And please remember, we will not call on you a second time. After all testimony has been heard, the applicant will be given another 10 minutes to come back and respond. When the applicant has finished responding to questions and concerns, we will close the public hearing and the commissioners will have the opportunity to discuss and hopefully be able to make final decisions or recommendations to City Council as needed. With that in mind, we are going to start with item number 2, H 2025-0040. Rolling Hill subdivision has requested a continuance. Mr. Clerk, do we have a date, a suggested date for this continuance?
Madam Chair, I believe staff said March 5th. Yes.
May I get a motion to continue Rolling Hill subdivision for March 5th?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and second to continue Rolling Hill subdivision till March 5th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to go out of order right now and do item number 5 for Singaringa Crossing Mixed Use Development. They have also asked for a continuance. Mr. Clerk, do we have any date suggested for this continuance?
The applicant is online, but I believe March 19th.
May I get a motion to continue Syringa Crossing Mixed Use Develop for March 19th?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to continue H 2025-007 Syringa Crossing to March 15th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did I say 15th? 19th, right? Sorry. Amend, please make it the 19th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 on the agenda is H 2025-0056 for the T-Box at 535 North Locust Grove Road for a conditional use permit. And we will begin with the staff report.
Good evening, Commissioners. So tonight we are here for a conditional use permit. Is requested to operate a golf and fitness training facility from it's from an existing 16,000 square foot industrial building on 1.427 acres of land. It's in the IL zoning district. The facility will be about 4,000 square feet of that building. So this is an existing building that was approved under an administrative application in CZC-05-059, and the property is part of a larger subdivision. It was a Railside Park subdivision that was recorded in March of 1997. So this is the floor plan that shows the portion of the property that will be, of the building that will be occupied by the T-Box. So it includes golf simulator bays, a fitness area, putting greens. The space will be retrofitted with 3 golf simulator bays, state-of-the-art putting surface, and a small fitness area with weights and golf-related exercises, and an office and conference room. The indoor golf facility has the capacity to allow a maximum of 18 clients at a time. And they have a total of 63 parking spaces for the entire building without assigned parking for that building. So although an indoor recreation facility is not standard use within an industrial area, they are considered through a conditional use permit per our UDC. As such, the Planning and Zoning Commission should evaluate whether continue expansion of commercial uses with an industrial area remains appropriate. So that is what staff is asking of you. So if this is deemed appropriate, staff finds that the proposed golf simulator and fitness area to be an appropriate use in this industrial area based on the analysis that were provided in the staff report. So at this time, well, other than that, I'm sorry. So these are site photos. And we did put a condition in there. There are 2 garbage bins that are up by the front entrance of the site. And we are asking that those either be enclosed based on our code or relocated to the rear next to the existing enclosure. And with that, I will stand for any questions that you guys may have on this application.
Would the applicant like to come forward? Hi, if you can state your name and address for the record?
Meridian 820 East.
Okay.
I only want to just ask if there's any questions. This is not another recreation facility. This is a facility to improve game of golf. Unlike Top Golf and some of these areas where it's purchased stuff. It's better. Yeah, open to any questions that you know.
Commissioners, do we have any questions for the applicant at this time?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Perot?
Hi there. I just wanted to double check that you are agreeable with staff's request to screen the garbage dumpsters. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, is there anybody to testify? Oh, sorry, didn't know you were.
Madam Chair, there's no one to testify.
And you've said everything that you would like, anybody in chambers? So we're good there too? Okay. And do you have any other comments or you're good? All right, may I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and second to close the public hearing for the T-Box. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm pretty familiar with this area. Right next door to them is a rescue for dogs. I think they're pit bulls, if I'm not mistaken. There's a trucking company next door to that. I know Big Wood Cabinets is across the street. They also accept customers to be able to come there. And if you go around the corner, Ada County paramedics are there as well. So even though it's technically an industrial park, it's not, and there's big trucks coming through the trucking company, but other than that, it's not like huge volume coming in and out. So you did pick a good location to be able to have your facility for those serious golfers that want to come through. I'm in favor of this conditional use permit. Any other comments?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Perot?
I agree. It's not really possible to put any kind of heavy industrial in a 4,000 square foot space. So, I mean, this is really designed with the likelihood of the user being much more light. And yeah, I think there's a gym in there nearby, and so it's pretty conducive to that section of Locust Grove.
All right, any other comments?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Smith?
after considering all staff, applicant, and public testimony, I move to recommend approval to the City Council of file number H-2025-0056 as presented in the staff report.
Madam Chair, for one moment, this is a conditional use permit.
Oh,
Oh,
we don't go
sorry,
to
I
council.
I read this, just reading off the thing. I move to approve item number H-2025-0056.
It's been moved and second to approve file H-2025-0056, the T-Box. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, gentlemen. All right, moving on to item number 4 on the agenda is H-2025-0051 for Driftwood Townhome subdivision off of Mystic for a development agreement modification, rezone, and preliminary plat. We will start with the staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. As you noted, the applications before you are a request for a development agreement modification, a rezone, and a preliminary plat. This site consists of 4.81 acres of land. It's zoned CC. It's generally located north of West Ustick Road on the west side of North Venable Avenue. The comprehensive plan future land use map designation is mixed use community. This property was annexed with CC zoning in 2008 with a commercial, for a commercial development. A development agreement was required with the annexation, which was later modified in 2016. A new development agreement was approved in 2022, which replaced the earlier agreements and changed the use from commercial to multifamily residential. The existing development plan allows for the development of 57 2 and 3 story townhome style multifamily dwelling units on one building lot on the northern portion of the property at a gross density of 11.85 units per acre, and 2 commercial buildings on the southern portion of the property. The drawings there on the left side are the existing entitled conceptual development plan and the building elevation directly below that. The applicant is proposing a new development agreement for the northern portion of the property with a new conceptual development plan as shown there on the right for 61 2-story townhome dwellings on individual building lots and updated building elevations. The proposed development is very similar to the previous plan, except the community center and the plaza area has been removed and 4 additional dwelling units are proposed for an increase in density of 0.83 units per acre. The same number of dwelling units is proposed adjacent to existing homes to the north in Woodburn subdivision and to the west in Woodburn West subdivision. One fewer unit is proposed along the west boundary adjacent to the large residential parcel. The additional units are located along the east boundary of the site adjacent to Venable Avenue, which shouldn't impact adjacent residential properties. A mix of front-loaded and alley-loaded townhome dwellings are proposed with access provided from internal private streets and alleys. The proposed townhome dwellings are a desired housing type in the mixed-use community future land use map designation, and the proposed density of 12.68 units per acre is consistent with the density range of 6 to 15 units per acre desired in MUC. A rezone of 5.01 acres of land is requested from the CC to the TNR zoning district to accommodate the proposed development plan. A preliminary plat is proposed to re-subdivide Lot 1, Block 1, Driftwood subdivision into 61 building lots and 5 common and other lots with private streets on 4.81 acres of land in the TNR zoning district. Subdivision of the property will allow individual units to be sold, which should allow for owner-occupied and rental options rather than just rental options. The subdivision is proposed to develop in one phase. Access is proposed via North Buckstone Place, a local street at the northern boundary of the site, and Windrift Lane, a proposed private street along the southern boundary of the site via North Venable Avenue, a collector street. Private streets and alleys are proposed for internal access. The director has approved the proposed private streets contingent upon council's approval of the proposed plat. Sidewalks are proposed along internal streets except along the eastern north-south alley. Staff recommends a 4-foot wide sidewalk is provided along the west side of Alley A for safe pedestrian access, and that is in this location right here. As you can see, the blue and the blue sidewalks are proposed, as well as the 5-foot wide detached pathway and sidewalk there in pink. Because this site is below 5 acres in size, qualified open space and site amenities are not required. A total of 0.51 acres of common open space is provided along with a dog waste station as a pedestrian-focused amenity. Settlers Park exists to the east, which is approximately an 11-minute walk and provides active and passive recreational opportunities. Additionally, a city community center is planned directly across Venable Avenue to the east, which will provide additional recreation and amenities. Written testimony was received from Eli Bensky, Brighton Corporation, the applicant, and they are requesting a modification to the development agreement, and they will cover that in their presentation. Staff is recommending approval with conditions. Staff is amenable to the applicant's request for a modification to that DA provision. Just by the way, thank you.
Would the applicant like to come forward?
Yeah, it should pick you up from the table.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Eli Bensky, 2929 West Navigator Drive. Thank you, Sonia. As mentioned, we're here for Driftwood Townhomes for the preliminary plat, rezone, and development agreement modification. As mentioned, we are generally located off of Venable and use. I'm getting the full setup today. Is that better? You guys hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Perfect. This property is located in the future land use designation of mixed use community. We are not proposing a modification to the land use map. The current zoning is community business. We are proposing a rezone to traditional neighborhood residential. We are proposing to keep the southern properties commercial. As mentioned, this property has already been platted and has a prior CUP approval. The previous plat was for 4 lots. There was the commercial lots to the south, the commercial drive aisle, and then Lot 1, Block 1, which is what we're here today talking about. Lot 1, Block 1 was 1 lot with the 57 multifamily units. As mentioned, the units that are directly abutting the residential portion that is already existing, that configuration and lot count remain the same with the current proposal. We are proposing 61 buildable lots, 5 common and open space lots with a total density of 12.7 units per acre. The expected density within the mixed-use community future land use map designation is ranging between 6 and 15 units per acre. So we do fit just right in the middle of that request from the comprehensive plan. As mentioned, this property is served by internal private streets notated here in the red, and the middle portion of the homes are accessed via the alley, or what we like to call a carriage lane, and that's notated in the blue. Part of the road improvements that we are doing with this is we are going to be providing a center turn lane at the Venable and Windrift intersection. One thing to know, and as Sonia mentioned, this is part of our condition modification that we're requesting. We have previously agreed with the city parks to help manage the signalization of Ustick and Venable. The wording on it is the top portion here. We wanted to simplify and clarify our involvement with that signalization. Because it is completely disconnected from our development, we wanted to make sure that it was clear that this is a CDA that if entered in, we will then manage. We can't force the CDA to go through, so we just wanted to make sure that that verbiage was very clear. And so what we're requesting is the second portion, that text in italicized. I'm going to go ahead and move forward.
Will you go back for a second so we can have a chance to read that, please?
Of course.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course. As mentioned, we are providing 4-foot wide attached sidewalks throughout the development. On the perimeter of the development, there are going to be 5-foot wide detached sidewalks. This will help better circulate residents to the greater Meridian area, with settlers being across Venable, as well as some of those commercial community services. There's a fuel station, a salon across Venable. So all these will help articulate that movement of pedestrians. As Sonia mentioned, the staff has recommended that we put in that sidewalk on the west side of that alley. We are okay with providing that access there. In red, that red dot, that's where we're going to be putting the dog waste station. We thought there's going to be a lot of people moving with their dogs, walking over to Settlers. So that's a good stopping point for people to pick up after their dogs and make sure that they're disposing of waste before they're entering into the park or coming back from the park. Driftwood Townhomes really is the middle of what's happening around here, and I'll get more into detail in regards to the uses that are surrounding this site. But in the middle, you'll see the townhomes, and then on each side, you'll see the other intensities of uses. Single-family homes are a lower intensity of use. They allow for people to have that personal autonomy. They allow for people to just have their own space. We do have that transition of townhomes where people might not be ready or financially able to move into a single-family detached home. Townhomes allows for a little bit more autonomy, more than in a multifamily building. And it also allows people to start that process into ownership. Since these will be individually platted, they have the opportunity to buy and or rent. At the higher intensity of uses, we have the commercial and multifamily. directly to the south of this property, we have commercial, and directly to the east of this property, we have multifamily. The image that's in this slide for multifamily, that is actually what's there for the multifamily directly to the east. So in terms of scale, they're not like 8 floors. They're not huge. They're just 2-story multifamily. I believe they're 8 plexes. So that just gives you a visual of what that transition is here in the area. This gives you an aerial view of what is happening in that area. So in red is where our project is located, and surrounding that directly is the single-family dwellings to the north. To the east, the future city community center, Settlers Park. As I mentioned, the commercial where there's the fuel station, some salons. I believe there's I'm not sure if it's a doggy daycare or a doggy puppy store, but dog related. And then there's multifamily. Across Ustick, there's more single family dwellings. There's bigger multifamily also in that area. And then as you get closer to Meridian, you know that there's more commercial and more residential on that side. Here's what our front access type A homes will look like. They are combination of either attached in 3 or attached in 4. The visual here shows what it looks like for the 4 attached. All of them have a 2-car garage with a 2-car parking pad. So each home will have parking spaces for 4 vehicles. Those are the ones that are going to be located at the perimeter. So the people that, or the residences that are directly north, that they will see a traditional style home. Yes, they're attached, but they won't see garages or, any lights in their back. It'll just be a traditional backyard. Then the second style of home that we have are the carriage lane homes. These are the ones where the fronts are just the front access doors, and then the garages are in the back. These are the ones highlighted here in pink that are at the center and facing Venable. One thing to notate is that all of our homes will have sidewalks that connect directly to these pathways, including these carriage lane homes. With that, I conclude my presentation. We concur with the conditions of approval with that requested modification of condition 4A14. And we request your recommendation of approval for the preliminary plat, rezone, and development agreement modification for Driftwood Townhomes. I stand for any questions.
Commissioners, do we have any questions for the applicant at this time?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Perot?
just one quick question. With the width of Windrift, was there a reason that you decided to make that private instead of keep it public?
Yes, Madam Chair. Let me back up for you. In the previously recorded plat, that was its own lot, and it was originally supposed to be a commercial drive aisle. In order to have the access shared between the commercial and these private streets, we thought it would be best to have access from the private street.
In the, for the Venable and Ustick signal, has ACHD agreed to having you manage the contract for the construction?
Madam Chair, we have not entered into that CDA yet. We are in conversations with them.
So it's still in discussion. Okay.
And that's the main reason for the clarification in the verbiage is we have not entered that agreement yet. So it got kind of sticky. We wanted to make sure it was clear.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Mr. Clerk, do we have anybody signed up to testify?
Madam Chair, nobody signed up in advance online or in person.
Is there anybody in chambers that would like to testify? Would you like to come up? Hi, if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Lisa House, 994 West Ashton.
Okay,
So I'm just north of the subject property.
okay,
And my concern is not getting the approval and starting the building unless there is approval on a signal. It's already horrible there. And with the new property that's being, expanded from Settlers Park, that's going to increase traffic. I mean, and you could sit there for like 10 minutes trying to get out of the neighborhood. So
Okay,
the only thing.
we will address that with the applicant. Thank you. Anyone else in chambers? Would the applicant like to come back and clarify again or any other comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We understand that traffic is a concern, especially in that area. With Settlers Park, there's people that are using Venable to access Settlers Park. I've done it before too. So that only adds to it. I'd like to note that ACHD is not requiring the signal. They've done their studies. They're not requiring it with the development. It's something that they've deemed not necessary. It's something that we still also believe needs to be there. That's why we're willing to enter into that CDA with ACHD and the Parks Department. But because it's not required of our development, we don't want it to be tied directly to the development as it's already deemed not necessary. We have previously done something like this where it wasn't part of our development that deemed it necessary. However, other factors that are happening in the area deemed a signal necessary, and we entered into a CDA. The signal out at Discovery Park off Lake Hazel, that was in that same modality where we came in after and we helped. We did a little bit of a partnership there as well. So we are more than willing to help with that. It's just not with the development because they're not tied, if that makes sense.
Is your organization also for the development of the commercial use in front of this as well? Or is that a different company?
St. Luke's owns that property.
Okay. All right.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Perot?
I have a lot of concerns about how vehicles are going to move through this development. We've seen several similar to this, and there's a lot of congestion when you have these private streets and then you have the units really close together where you don't have space between the units. There's not space for vehicles to park between the driveways. And so I'm wondering if the applicant would be open to adding at least the same amount of parking spaces as you have on the north into the south at minimum. And then also if there would be a possibility of adding a larger parking space in the north and in the south for utility vehicles like Amazon delivery, furniture delivery, HVAC trucks, contractors, tree trimmers. When you have those size of vehicles that park on these 24 to 27 foot wide streets, it just creates a lot of issues with safety, especially on trash day. And you have all these, all these trash cans and you have these large vehicles and you have people coming home from work. It's just really a challenge. I don't love alley loads, but they've become more common. And even when you have that 20-foot driveway with those alley loads, it's just so narrow when you have, delivery trucks coming. And I live in a patio home community, and during the holidays, I probably counted 20 different Amazon, FedEx, type of trucks coming a day. And so I have a lot of concern about that with these narrow private streets. And so I'm wondering if that was anything that was discussed and what might be done to rectify that possible situation.
Madam Chair, thank you for that question. Just for clarity, are you meaning the parking stalls that we have there at Buckstone? Are you requesting that we add additional parking?
Correct. There's about 6 stalls there?
Yeah.
I just think that's such a really very small amount if someone's going to have people over an event. Definitely think we need at least that many on the south side of the property.
Thank you for that clarification. We have thoroughly looked at the parking in this area. It is pretty tight, as you can see. I mean, it's just under 5 acres. I don't believe we could fit additional parking. That's something that I think we could probably talk about. Yeah.
Madam Chair, Commission members, Mike Wardle, also of Brighton 2929 West Navigator. I would just point out that all of the interior block frontages, there's no conflict with the driveways there, so there's parking all the way around that interior block. Plus, all of the units have the 2 parking stall pads in front of their garages, so it's not like there's not going to be a good share of parking, but obviously under any circumstance, there is the 100-year party or whatever, but so this is not deficient. It's, we understand the concern, but there's really no way to add more to it than what it is, but it's basically the same concept as we have in all of our cadence projects, which allow parking on one side, and in this particular case, where there's no garage frontage on those alley units, we've got all of that frontage to park.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, Commissioner Pro and I might have to have a discussion because I actually really like alley-lit homes. But so that's not my concern. My concern is looking at this east section of the property, the boundary with the property to the north and that kind of corner there. I'm seeing like a 6-to-1 ratio, looking backyard to backyard, and that for me is kind of the thing where it causes me a little bit of pause. This commission's been pretty big on transitional space, and I think as a whole, at a high level, this does a good job transitioning from single family to this commercial. But I'm curious about this kind of transitional pocket here, and I'm curious if there have been any discussions internally about other approaches or ways to mitigate that, or has there been any discussion or planning or trying to solve for that?
Yes, let me grab my laptop. I actually do have an
Sure.
additional image that will help answer this a little bit better. One second.
Great, thank you.
And to clarify, Commissioner Smith, you're just speaking of these units right here on the northeast side? Or are you talking?
I'm talking about the north, so that's the northwest. I'm talking about the northeast,
Oh,
right
sorry.
against Venable. Yeah,
This
right
guy.
here.
Okay, on that corner.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So we have looked at different configurations. We had tried doing a 3 attached there instead to obviously make that a little bit less. What ended up happening is kind of a game of rotation. So instead it ends up putting 2 4s over here. And then same thing, this is a single user or a single residential with this outlaw out here. It was really difficult to figure out essentially who ends up with an additional lot. I don't want it to sound like we weren't thoughtful in this process, but when you have a backyard neighbor who has that corner lot, whose lot ends up being, I guess, trapezoidal in the backyard, it is really hard to accommodate how many lots and units are back there. I have an image of what that looks like streetwise. So this is actually their backyard, the house in the brown. It looks a lot wider on the aerial than it does in like when you're doing a street view. So I took that based off of like that yellow star. That's where that is. So I don't know if that helps with that qualm at all, but it is, I mean, it is difficult to plan those lots when the backyard itself is like that. When you look at all the other neighbors, when it's a 2-to-1 ratio with all their other neighbors, it's just because it's a corner lot.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Perot?
So I was just looking at the kind of ratios or percentages of residential two other uses in this mixed-use community area. And it feels very heavy on the residential. I know you already have a CUP that's approved for similar size project. So it's not something that's necessarily going to be anything that staff would assess at this point, but just wondering if you took any of that into account and or had made that a consideration as you're, requesting to change this to TNR.
Yes, it is one of, Madam Chair, Commissioner, it is one of the considerations we make when we are rezoning, especially when it's in a mixed-use area. We do work closely with staff to make sure that we're not hitting over the threshold of what's allowed in those residential uses. And we do try to look at not just what's within that mixed-use area, but even further than that. Usually, if the residents can benefit from more than just what's directly adjacent to them, we also take that into account.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to close the public hearing for Driftwood Townhomes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I know that the site is small and they have adjusted it, but the previous application that was approved for 2-story and 3-story there before, even though there's technically more units, we lose some of the height and the density as far as a number of apartments are concerned. And they did mention that the north boundary did not change. So since we've approved it before, I don't know if we had heartburn when we approved it before or not, and there's nobody here for public testimony in regard to those adjacent lots to the north. I don't have a problem with the way they have set it up right now. I think whenever there's going to be density, drive aisles and service trucks and garbage and Amazon trucks and whatever, that is always going to be a challenge because that's the way our community works these days, where we're seeing more possible box trucks, but I do know Amazon delivers with a lot of vans as well. And that's just part of our way we do business these days. People like it home delivered. So again, the parking stalls, although it would be lovely to see more, but the fact that each driveway has 2 spots that you can park around the entire alley load with a couple extra, I'm okay with that as well.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, I think I tend to agree. There's a lot of things that give me, I have nitpicks with this that I'd like to, if I could wave a magic wand, I'd like to see a little bit different, but I don't think there's anything in here that is outright offensive to me. I think I am big on mixed use, not just meaning residential next to commercial. I do think that this is kind of small enough of a project where it naturally integrates with the surrounding area, contrary to some others that are much larger kind of neighborhood block size kind of breakups. So I don't really have too much of concern with this. Sure, I'd like to see a little bit better of a transition in that one corner. Sure, I'd like to see a little bit better of a parking scenario, but I don't think there's anything that is, crippling to this project that with the kind of the changes that have been made, that we shouldn't approve it if we've approved it already.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Perot?
I really appreciate that Brighton has taken in consideration to have townhomes that can be owner occupied. That's a really important part of our community. And I realize all of the adjustments and stressors that come with urbanization. But I just am, for me, I'm just not in agreement with a rezone from CC to TNR. I really feel like it's too heavy residential in this area for the mixed use community intention. This whole corridor on Ustick Road from Linder to Meridian Road just doesn't have a lot of community serving uses. Got a little down at the end of Linder Road. We don't have any on the on the Meridian Road side. There's just a small couple of businesses there, but because of the park, there just isn't a lot of community serving uses. So I'd really prefer for this to stay to not be a residential use. So that being said, I will be voting in denial this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Stoll?
I like the project. It's, I think a nice compromise on the transition between the area for the residential. I appreciate the fact that there's concern regarding traffic. I have that same concern regarding the increasing amount of traffic in our community, but it doesn't meet the ACHD's warrant for a signal to be put into place. And I think that the Parks Department and the applicant have come up with an approach that will actually get the signal put into place if the agreement can be completed between the three parties in a faster time period than if we just wait for ACHD to do it to when it meets their warrants. So I will be voting in favor of the application.
Okay. Any other comments?
I guess, Madam Chair, I would ask if we could pull up the requested change for the modification, the requested modification, if that's what we want to add before anyone makes a motion, just so we can make sure we get that right.
Sonia, do we have to add it into our motion or is it already in the staff report?
Chairman, it is not in the staff report. It was in the applicant's response to the staff report. It's in the public record.
Okay.
If you'd like me to read it off, I can.
I guess, yeah, I just want to make sure we're changing it to the right verbiage if staff and the applicant are in agreement.
Thank you.
Or if there's just, I can reference as defined in this. Yeah. I have this here. We
Okay.
can pass, we'll make do.
All right.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Smith?
After considering all staff applicant and public testimony, I move to recommend approval to City Council file number H-2025-0051 as presented in the staff report with a modification to modify condition 4.A.1.4 to read as follows: Settlers Park requires a signal at Venable Ustick intersection as part of their mitigation for the future community center. The developer will continue to pursue a cooperative development agreement if the city's Parks Department, ACHD, and the developer enter into a CDA. The developer will manage the construction of the signal.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve Driftwood Townhome subdivision with the one up modification for signalization. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any of those opposed?
Nay.
And one nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. May I have one more motion, please?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.